Welcome back to another episode of Saline Speaks. I'm Station Manager Chase Stanton, and today I'm joined by another school board member, Heidi Pfannes, and we're going to talk a little bit about you becoming a school board member and then things over the next few years. Thanks for joining me.
You're welcome. Thanks for inviting me.
And so just to jump right in and get to know you a little bit, what's your professional background?
I am Business Development Manager and Marketing Manager at Albert Kahn Architects and Engineers in Detroit.
And so we mentioned a little before we started recording that you filled a vacant position. What kind of interested you in filling that position and becoming a school board member?
Well, in my previous district before I moved to Saline, I used to live in Mattawan, and it was a community very much like Saline, where it's a bedroom community to Kalamazoo as opposed to a bedroom community to Ann Arbor or some of the other larger communities around. And I was on that school board for 6 years. Really, prior to that, I worked for an architectural firm, King Scott, who happens to be doing our bond, and I was a business development person for them and worked a lot with school districts all around the state, helping them with their bond campaigns, helping them with just getting to know each other, sharing information, attending lots and lots of training and sessions about schools, and really understand how different schools work and which ones are successful and which ones are not and why. And so after many years of being involved in that way, I looked at my own school and said, I should be giving back to the community that I live in. And so I joined my school board then. When we went to move here, I'm like, the hardest thing was to give up my spot on the school board because that was such an important part. I felt like my mission, my work was not done.
Yeah.
And so when I called Superintendent Graydon and I said, okay, I want to see if my son is going to fit in this community, he says, yes, and we need a good board member. So I thought that was kind of ironic, but because, I really hated to give up my spot, and, never expected as a new person in the community that I'd have an opportunity to jump in as quickly as I was able to.
Wow.
So I was very excited. And when an open position became available, they said, are you interested? And I said, absolutely. So that's how I got engaged in the school board here.
And it seems like, or it sounds like they had some plans of their own before you even knew about it.
Well, he just knew me because of, the world that, I would encounter him, and I would encounter the people in the business office and stuff around the state. And so, he knew of me, I knew of Saline, and it just made a nice marriage when we were able to work together.
So coming from that background and kind of having that involvement with school districts, kind of how do you see Saline? What's unique about Saline?
Saline's a wonderful community, and what I love about Saline and why I chose Saline was because of the commitment to the schools. The community really believes in the school district, and they do a good job at making sure we're delivering the best education possible. We've got great staff, we've got great visionary leadership that looks at what's really the best learning styles, what's the best things for kids, and incorporating that right into the curriculum. And so many communities don't get that. They have a few people that talk it, but they don't walk it, or and it's very difficult to see those things married together so nicely, just like they are here. And that's what I like about Saline, and that's why I chose this community, is because we get it here.
That's great.
So, and the other thing is, I like knowing that we're all working very, very hard for the right reasons. And sometimes there's micromanaging boards, and we're not that kind of a board, and we don't want to be that kind of a board. And so that is also a good reason. We want to set that example at the top. If we function well, then we give good direction and leadership to the district, which then gives, are able to spend their time with the kids, not fighting amongst themselves.
Yeah, definitely. Now, you're also involved with the Foundation for Saline Schools, correct?
Yes, I'm the board representative on the foundation.
Oh, great. And so how does that work, that relationship between the board and the foundation?
Well, what we do as board members, we align what we're doing at the district level and hear what's happening at the foundation level, or be able to communicate back and forth between what our goals are, what the foundation goals are, and that's one of the things that I think is, again, exceptional here is the way that the foundation supports the strategic vision of the district and our grants, our initiatives and stuff like that align so well. That's very rare as well, and so we're very blessed here to have a great foundation that gets what we're trying to do educationally, supports it, and then the community comes and supports the foundation. So it's just great marriage.
So jumping back a little bit, we mentioned that you filled a school board position, and before we were talking that it's 6 years. So in those 6 years, do you have anything that's going to be important to you to see over that amount of time?
I think it'll be really interesting to see where we go with curriculum in the next 6 years. I mean, we've come so far and we've made so many strides in how we deliver instruction. And it's going to be interesting to see how we continue to push that envelope and be better and better and better prepare these kids for the world that they're going to live in. That's pretty exciting. It's exciting to see the bond having passed. What are we going to do with our facilities that support the learning that has to happen and the learning styles and all that next gen classrooms and what's next, and just to be at that cutting edge. We're not waiting to watch what everybody else is doing. We're in one of those districts that's going to try it and see if it works. Some things may work really, really well. Some things may need to be tweaked a bit. But, it's going to be exciting to see how we continue to stay ahead of the curve with most districts.
Definitely. And you mentioned the bond, and we've been talking a little bit with each of the board members I've interviewed about the bond and kind of their impressions on it. So if you could share that with the viewers, for sure. Well,
I think that, I'm so excited that it passed. I think that they went for the right project. We involved the community, got a lot of feedback from the community. But I think the plan to do it in phases was a really good thing. It allows us to, buy the things as we need them, to fix the things as we need them, to really be responsible citizens. Taking care of the money and not just doing all the stuff that we don't need, but actually be able to plan and take care of our buildings in the long term. And give the kids a lot more opportunities by refreshing the technology every, so many years and buying the buses and all that stuff. I think is really, really good for a district to keep that stability and moving forward in a positive way.
Well, before we wrap up, is there anything else about you or the school board that you'd want people to know, or just a last message you'd like to get out?
I just think that, getting the parents involved at all the different ages. We have a lot of parents who are involved in the younger grades, but we need to see those parents continue to be engaged and involved. And even those that don't have kids in school, to look at how can I get involved, how can businesses get involved to make sure the kids that are coming out are the kinds of kids that we want to keep in our community, not that we want to train to go to some other community. And there's a lot of people with a lot of skill sets that maybe are retired now, and it'd be really nice if we could figure out how to engage them and reel them back into the school to help, with some of those older kids, high school kids, middle school kids, and show them some of the skill sets that maybe aren't quite so relevant, or they're maybe not taught as much in some of the schools, or the kids might just have so many options that they can't possibly take enough classes to get the exposure to that. So if we can engage some of those other people in the community, I think that would be really cool.
And in terms of engagement, if anyone wanted to contact you, we mentioned your email address?
Yes, my email address is a great way to reach out to me. It's Pfannes, P-F-A-N-N-E-S-H, so Heidi Pfannes, so Pfannes H @salineschools.org.
Great. And we'll make sure we put that up under the video too.
All right, very good.
Well, thank you again for coming in. I really appreciate it. And thank you everyone for watching.
Thank you very much, and thank you.